Welcome back to more Propaganda Wars. Came across this clip. Shout out to Tim Pool. You're a real one, dog.
This is the best comparison of the left and the right you'll ever hear.
You say the left is a cult. I can do the same thing with the right. I can say they're completely insane. Look at these nutbags on Twitter.
You'd be wrong.
Really?
Yeah. The popular vote winner, Donald Trump, was a Democrat. RFK Jr., former liberal. Tulsi Gabbard, former liberal. Elon Musk, former liberal. Tim Pool, former liberal. I never voted Republican. I didn't like Republicans. And now the Republican MAGA movement, not the neocons, is an eclectic bunch of diverse views which debate each other. Charlie Kirk, Christian conservative, invites moderate pro-choice Tim Pool onto his stage to discuss those views to the public. On the left, what do you think would happen if you went and opposed their views at a public forum? You'd be threatened with violence. Booking liberals to come on my show.
We have the same problem.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk.
I can sit in front of a libertarian like Dave Smith and Charlie Kirk at the same time, and we leave with beers in our hands, smiles on our faces. And Dave will say, Charlie, I really do appreciate it. I think you do good work. I know we disagree. The left doesn't do that. They firebomb your building. You could not define what they believe. It's impossible.
Yeah. Yep. I talk to a lot of liberals, man. And the one thing that really defines every single liberal that I really come in contact with is their sheer ignorance. I mean, their sheer unreasonably they're unreasonable in this. Like they refuse to even discuss topics in a coherent manner. Like it's rather infuriating when you're trying to talk on a topic and then like they'll throw a curveball at you that has nothing to do with the topic at hand. I mean, those are even the ones that'll speak to you, you know. It'll be like, you know, I'm against, like, I'm not pro-choice. I'm you know, pro-choice is basically pro-abortion. I'm pro-life. Okay, I'm pro-life for a few reasons. But when I talk to these females or the males, but a lot of the times it's the females, and we're talking about pro-life, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're okay, or you don't want them to kill the baby, but you're okay with the death penalty." And it's like they can't understand the difference between taking the life of an innocent newborn baby, comparing that to taking the life of somebody who has probably taken somebody else's life, of a murderer or a rapist, right? Somehow I've actually gotten into conversations where they try to say that my views aren't congruent if I believe that we shouldn't kill babies, but it's okay to kill people who have been found guilty in a court of law of, you know, really nasty behavior. I mean, that's their mind frame. That's their mindset. And that's just the ones that will even remotely talk to you. Half the time, they just scream Nazi at you because you have a differing opinion, and they refuse to debate. Like it's quite insane. It's quite insane. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Well, no, you know what? I take it back. I do understand it. I get it from a psychological point of view. It's called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. Yeah. Excuse me for the marbles in my mouth. Cognitive dissonance is what allows people to have conflicting views inside their head that make no sense when compared to each other. And that's what happens to people when you give them conflicting information that doesn't conflate, that doesn't jive with how they understand the world, like what they've been told. You understand what I'm saying? I find that it is a truly, like, we got to strive for intelligence, people. And the ability to be intelligent is the ability to dissect information and the ability to hold opposing viewpoints and to be able to understand opposing viewpoints, but to realize that they are completely opposing viewpoints. And 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, I'll go with 9 times out of 10 because there's got to be a reasonable lib somewhere. But 9 times out of 10, it's their ego. They can actually say with a straight face things that make absolutely no sense, that are totally and utterly conflicting. And when you call them out on it, they get this visceral, nasty reaction. They don't want to hear it. Suddenly you're a liar. And that is a lot of what is brewing around, like, the whole debate on what truth even is, right? Because I get my information from people who haven't lied to me. Like in one of my past clips where I showed the plethora, the amount of gaslighting, the not exaggerating, all of the lies that were perpetuated and seeped in, that are still floating around our political dialectic, right? They're still floating around our dialogue, that were completely and utterly not true. And they use these not true points in order to form some kind of opinion. You know? Like I think I spoke on the Russia being very obviously and proven Russian disinformation. Like I love, some of the fights we have, like when you want to try and call, like I've had people call President Trump a rapist, right? And they're always referring to the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit. And if you actually really know anything about it, E. Jean Carroll, number one, the whole thing was tried in a liberal stronghold in New York where everybody and their mother hated Trump from the gate. Like that jury was biased, to say the least. And then E. Jean Carroll gives this account that, she can't tell you where it happened or when it happened, but it definitely happened. And then you look at President Trump and the story flops just right there, because don't get me wrong, President Trump, he's not a good looking guy. I'm not a good looking guy. But do you know what makes Donald Trump a beautifully looking guy to other women? The billions of dollars in his bank account. So the very idea, let's look at E. Jean Carroll. That chick is a dog. That chick is ugly as hell. So we've got the president who, by Democrats' accounts, used money. Remember Stormy Daniels? Stormy Daniels. Let's compare Stormy Daniels to E. Jean Carroll, all right? Stormy Daniels to E. Jean Carroll, all right? One is a stone cold foxy porn star. The other one is E. Jean Carroll. And this is the person that they tried to foist up and say that Donald Trump allegedly has sexually assaulted or something like that. Let's get real. That chick is ugly. He's a billionaire. He could grab any hottie he wanted to, you know what I'm saying? He's not doing that to Jean Carroll. All right. Then and so they use that whole narrative to try and say he's a rapist, and how can you follow this guy? Well, because I know the facts of the case, and the facts of the case are blatantly retarded and stupid, and anybody who takes 5 seconds and looks over the situation can blatantly see that the whole thing was a farce and a sham. It was 20-something years ago. Sorry, lady. You lose all credibility. And then you had the 38 cases of fraud found. 38. They use these in talking points, right? And when you try to explain, 38, when you actually look into the 38 counts, and he wasn't actually convicted of any of them. The judge basically said, if you think he could have been guilty of any one of these, then you can find him guilty on all of these, which is completely unconstitutional. You can't do that. Right? The whole jury instructions were completely effed up. It was in the middle of another Democrat stronghold, and they were papering the entire town with so much propaganda, man. You would have thought Trump was Hitler, Stalin, Satan reincarnated, which he's not, of course. So they won't listen to reason. They won't listen to, hey, the jury instructions were bad. He was in a liberal stronghold, and it's very obvious bullshit. And listen to who was it? That other, he's a businessman. I can see his face in my brain, but I can't think of his name. But he went on this unnamed, very recognizable businessman. Excuse me for not remembering his name. But he went on CNN and tried to break it down to those libtards that what he did wasn't illegal. The bank was fine with what he did. Everybody got paid. Everybody does this because the law is such an abstract situation that is almost impossible to not break it. The people who put the law in place to begin with didn't know what they were doing. So it's constantly being broken by everybody because the law itself is broken. You catch what I'm saying? But having these kinds of conversations, anything counter to Orange Man bad, my body, my choice because I like killing children, like I can go on and on. Any of that, like they won't break down when life begins. It's like talking to a brick wall. And again, that goes back to their cognitive dissonance because they have these beliefs. Beliefs have become this wall. I don't have beliefs. I have an understanding. And when a better argument comes along, when proof comes along, when things change, my opinion changes. Out of college, I was a flaming lib. It took me several years to get over my education, as Samuel Clemens once wrote that I butchered. So talking to liberals is like talking to a wall. Well, no, actually, it's less infuriating than talking to a wall because you don't actually expect the wall to understand. Anyways, like, share, subscribe, more propaganda wars. This is what we're up against. The cognitive dissonance, the sheer insanity, the inability to conceive and conceptualize. This is what we're up against in the propaganda wars. So like, share, and subscribe for more content. Peace.